He was 62 years old, holding a check for $105, a Social Security check, retirement money. For most 62-year-old men in America, this meant the end. Most people at this age grow tomatoes in their garden, play with their grandchildren, spend their days in front of the television. But Harlan Sanders was different. With that $105 in his hand, he decided to change the world. It was 1952. Colonel Sanders, the world would later know him by this name. He'd been forced to close his small gas station in Kentucky. The new highway didn't pass in front of his station. His customers were gone. His money was gone. At 62, he had nothing left in his life. But he had one thing. A recipe. A chicken recipe. A secret formula made of 11 herbs and spices. For years, he had served it at the small restaurant in his gas station. That delicious fried chicken, whose taste customers could never forget. People drove miles just to eat it. "Don't die without tasting Sanders' chicken," they used to say. But now, the station was closed, and Sanders found himself alone in a small house in Indiana, with a Social Security check in his hand. Most people would have given up at this point. "I've lived enough," they would say. "I'm too old now," they would say. "My opportunity has passed," they would say. But Harlan Sanders had never taken the easy road in his life. His father died when he was 6 years old. His mother had to work in factories for days away from home. Harlan had to take care of his younger siblings. At 7, he learned to cook. At 10, he started working in the fields. At 12, he ran away from home. At 14, he worked on farms. At 16, he lied about his age and joined the army. He served in Cuba, then was discharged. He worked on the railroads, became a coal miner, became an insurance salesman, became a steamboat captain, became a lawyer's assistant. He was fired from every job. Every venture failed. By the time he reached 40, he had worked 17 different jobs, failed at all of them. Then he opened a gas station in Kentucky. He set up a 6-person table in the corner of the station, started serving food. People loved his chicken so much that he turned the station into a restaurant, Sanders Cafe, seating 142 people. Business was going well until the new highway plans were announced. The new road would pass 7 miles away from Sanders Station. This meant death. In 1952, he closed the station. He was 62 years old. All he had was a $105 Social Security check and an old car. And that chicken recipe. Most people would have settled for retirement at this point. But Sanders thought differently. "If this chicken recipe is this good," he said to himself, "others would want to sell it too." And he made an incredible plan, the franchise idea. He would go to restaurants, teach them his recipe, and get a share from every chicken sold. A simple idea. But nobody would want to buy a recipe from a 62-year-old man, right? Sanders didn't care. He got in his old car, put a pressure cooker, spice mixture, and his white suit in the back seat, and hit the road. He started going from restaurant to restaurant. At every restaurant he entered, he made the same offer. "Let me cook fried chicken for you. If you like it, use my recipe. Give me 4 cents for every chicken you sell." The first restaurant said no. The second one too. Third, fourth, fifth. Everyone said no. "You're too old. We already have our recipe. Nobody wants your chicken. This won't work." Sanders didn't listen. He continued. He was on the road for months, slept in his car, sometimes cooked chicken in exchange for free meals at restaurants, sometimes couldn't find a piece of bread. He turned 65, still getting rejections. But he noticed something. Every time he cooked chicken, people went crazy. "This is amazing," they would say. I've never had chicken like this. But still, they didn't want to make a deal. 109 restaurants rejected Sanders. 1,009 no's. 1,009 doors slammed in his face. Most people would give up after the 10th rejection. They would definitely quit after the 100th. But Sanders continued, even after receiving 109 rejections, because he knew just one yes was enough. And finally, the yes came. The 1,010th restaurant was Pete Harmon's restaurant, Utah, Salt Lake City. Harmon tried Sanders' chicken and was amazed. "This is incredible," he said. "Let's make a deal." The first franchise agreement was signed. Chicken sales exploded at Pete Harmon's restaurant. People lined up. It was served under the name Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. Word spread. Other restaurant owners started hearing about it, and they started calling Sanders. Within 1 year, Sanders signed 5 franchise agreements. Within 2 years, 15 restaurants. Within 3 years, 75 restaurants were selling his chicken. And Sanders was making money from every single one. Not a salary, not wages. A percentage. 4 cents per chicken. It seemed small, but when thousands of chickens were sold every day, those 4 cents turned into thousands of dollars. Sanders was now 66 years old, and for the first time in his life, he was truly successful. But he wasn't satisfied. This can be bigger, he thought. This can go national. This can go worldwide. He developed a system. Every restaurant had to follow his exact recipe. Every restaurant had to use his spice mixture. Every restaurant had to cook the chicken the same way. Quality control. Brand consistency. This was revolutionary for the 1950s. Nobody was doing franchising this way. Sanders personally visited every restaurant, checked the kitchens, tasted the chicken. If it wasn't perfect, he would explode. "This is not my chicken," he would yell. "This is garbage." He was a perfectionist, obsessed with quality, and this obsession made KFC what it became. By 1960, Sanders had 200 franchises. By 1963, 600 franchises. He was 73 years old and had become a millionaire. But something else happened. He became a celebrity. The white suit, the black string tie, the white goatee, the walking cane. This image became iconic. Sanders appeared on TV shows, gave interviews, traveled across America. People recognized him everywhere. "It's Colonel Sanders." Children ran to him. Adults wanted photos. He became the face of KFC. But the business was growing too fast. Managing 600 franchises was becoming impossible. Sanders was now 74 years old, and he made a decision that would change everything. He sold KFC. In 1964, he sold the company to a group of investors for $2 million, approximately $20 million in today's money. Not bad for a man who started with $105 at age 62. But here's the brilliant part. He kept a lifetime salary of $40,000 per year, and he remained as the brand ambassador. The face of KFC would always be Colonel Sanders. The new owners took KFC international: Canada, England, Mexico, Japan. By 1970, KFC had 3,000 restaurants. By 1971, it went public on the stock market. By 1976, it was sold to Hebelin Inc. for $280 million. Sanders didn't own the company anymore, but he was still getting paid, and he was still the most recognized face in fast food. Sanders lived until 90 years old. He died in 1980. By then, KFC had 6,000 restaurants worldwide. Today, KFC has over 25,000 restaurants in 145 countries. It serves 12 million customers every single day. The brand is worth over $7 billion. But the story isn't just about chicken. It's not just about franchising. It's about something much deeper. Harlan Sanders failed for 62 years. 62 years of rejection, failure, and disappointment. He worked 17 different jobs, all failures. He opened businesses, all closed. He invested money, all lost. At 62, when society said, "You're done," he said, "I'm just starting." At 62, when everyone said retire, he said, "Let me build an empire." At 62, when the world said it's too late, he proved it's never too late. He faced 1,009 rejections. 1,009 times, people told him no. 1,009 times, people said his idea wouldn't work. Most people quit after 10 rejections. Sanders continued through 1,009 because he knew one truth. Success doesn't come to those who give up. Success comes to those who keep going when everyone else has quit. Sanders didn't invent fried chicken. Fried chicken existed for centuries. He didn't invent restaurants. Restaurants existed everywhere. He didn't even invent franchising. Others had done it before. So what made him different? What made him succeed when everyone else said it was impossible? Obsession with quality. He never compromised on his recipe, never cut corners, never settled for good enough. It had to be perfect every single time. Relentless persistence. 109 rejections didn't stop him. Being 62 years old didn't stop him. Having no money didn't stop him. Sleeping in his car didn't stop him. Nothing stopped him. Understanding value. He knew his chicken was special. He knew people loved it. He knew it was worth something. And he refused to give up on that belief. Personal branding, before personal branding, was a thing. That white suit, that image, that personality. He made himself the brand, and the brand became immortal. Think about this. Colonel Sanders has been dead for over 40 years, but his face is still on every KFC bucket. His image is still recognized worldwide. Children, who weren't even born when he died, know who he is. That's legacy. That's impact. That's immortality. KFC today serves over 4.5 billion chicken pieces every year, employs over 800,000 people worldwide, generates over $30 billion in revenue annually, all because a 62-year-old man with $105 refused to give up. Here's what most people don't understand. Sanders didn't succeed because he was lucky. He didn't succeed because he had connections. He didn't succeed because he had money. He didn't succeed because he was young. He succeeded because he refused to accept failure as final. He succeeded because he saw rejection as redirection. He succeeded because he believed in his product when nobody else did. He succeeded because he worked harder at 65 than most people work at 25. When Sanders died in 1980, over 1,000 people attended his funeral. The governor of Kentucky was there. Business leaders from around the world were there. But most importantly, ordinary people were there. The restaurant owners he helped, the employees whose lives he changed, the customers whose days he brightened with a bucket of chicken. His gravestone reads, "The greatest mistake you can make in life is to continually fear you will make one." That was Sanders' philosophy. Don't fear failure. Fear not trying. Today, somewhere in the world, someone is eating KFC. Right now, as you hear this story, in Tokyo, in London, in Mexico City, in Sydney, a child is biting into a piece of chicken. A family is sharing a meal. A worker is taking a lunch break. And they're all connected to a 62-year-old man who refused to retire. The lesson isn't start a chicken restaurant. The lesson isn't even never give up. The lesson is deeper than that. The lesson is your age doesn't define your potential. Your past failures don't determine your future success. Your current situation is not your final destination. Sanders failed for 62 years, but he's remembered for the 28 years he succeeded. He was rejected 1,009 times, but he's celebrated for the one time he got a yes. Most people see obstacles as stop signs. Sanders saw them as challenges to overcome. Most people see age as a limitation. Sanders saw it as accumulated wisdom. Most people see failure as the end. Sanders saw it as a lesson. Here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. You don't need to be young to succeed. You don't need to have money to start. You don't need to have connections to build. You don't need permission to begin. You just need three things: a product or service you believe in, the persistence to keep going when everyone says no, and the courage to start, no matter your age or situation. Sanders had all three, and he changed the world. So the question isn't, am I too old? The question is, am I too scared? The question isn't, is it too late? The question is, am I willing to try? The question isn't, will I succeed? The question is, will I regret not trying? Colonel Sanders died a millionaire at 90, but he didn't become a millionaire until he was 73. That means he had 17 years of wealth. After 73 years of struggle, was it worth it? Ask the 800,000 KFC employees worldwide. Ask the millions of customers every day. Ask his family, who inherited his legacy. The answer is yes. It was worth every rejection, every sleepless night in his car, every door slammed in his face, every person who said you're too old. Because in the end, age is just a number. Success is just a decision. And legacy is just what you do when everyone says you can't. Harlan Sanders proved that 62 is not the end. It's a beginning, a powerful, unstoppable, world-changing beginning. So what's your excuse? What's stopping you? What dream have you given up on because you think it's too late? What business idea have you buried because of your age? What passion have you abandoned because society says you're too old? Colonel Sanders is proof that it's never too late, never too old, never too impossible. 62 years of failure, one recipe, one car, $105, 1,009 rejections, and one decision to never give up. That's all it took to build $1 billion empire. The chicken was good, but the persistence was legendary. The recipe was special, but the determination was unstoppable. The franchise model was smart, but the refusal to quit was what made history. This isn't just a story about fried chicken. This is a story about the human spirit, about refusing to accept limitations, about proving that age is not a barrier, it's an advantage, about showing the world that experience, wisdom, and persistence beat youth and energy every single time. Colonel Sanders built KFC, but more importantly, he built hope. Hope for everyone who thinks it's too late. Hope for everyone who's been rejected. Hope for everyone who's failed more times than they can count. Because if a 62-year-old man with $105 can build a global empire, if a man rejected 1,009 times can become a household name, if someone who failed for 6 decades can succeed in the final chapter, then so can you. Age is not a stop sign. It's a green light. Your experience is not a burden. It's your superpower. Your failures are not defeats. They're your education. Colonel Sanders didn't start winning at 62. He started winning when he decided that losing wasn't final. So the next time you think I'm too old, Remember the 62-year-old man with a pressure cooker and a dream. The next time you think it's too late, remember the 1009 rejections that came before one yes. The next time you think I've failed too many times, remember that Sanders failed for 62 years before he succeeded. Your greatest success might be one decision away. Your biggest breakthrough might be one more attempt away. Your legacy might be waiting for you to start. Don't let age stop you. Don't let fear control you. Don't let rejection define you. Because somewhere, right now, someone is eating KFC, and they have no idea they're tasting the result of one man's refusal to give up, one man's courage to start at 62, one man's persistence through 1009 no's. That man changed the world, and so can you. The only question is, will you start today, or will you wait until tomorrow? Colonel Sanders didn't wait, and neither should you.